All right. Well, we're going to be forging out some sterling silver today. Right now, in front of you, that's a roughly 3/4, like 4/5 of an ounce sterling silver. We're going to turn this into a backplate. So the first thing we need to do is to hammer it more or less flat, widen it out a little bit, flare it a little bit. Then basically go for a rectangular shape or into a square shape, and then we'll run it through the mill. We'll lengthen it out, draw it out a little bit, and we'll get two really nice, highly polished, thick as hell sterling silver backplates from that. So step one is just basically flatten it out. You should use tongs for this, but I don't have a good pair of tongs to grab it on this angle, so I'm just going to give it a good whack. Or 4 or 5. Alright. We got it nice and flat. Let's give it a little slap with the cross peen. Alright, that will enable it to widen out in the area and into the direction of least resistance, basically. So we're giving the metal that we're going to move a place to fall. We'll turn that over. Give it another good couple of whacks. All right, when silver starts to jump like that, it means it's time to anneal it. But as you can see, we've already changed the shape dramatically. It is now a much more evenly round. It's wider out where we wanted it to be. All right, so now we're going to anneal that. No, I should be using tongs. I will be from now on. All right, it's more or less a little more. Why not? Just a little bit more. There we go. All right. All right. That really is good. Okay, so sorry. That really is good. So as you can see, it's really coming into a much more of a evenly round shape. I know my hands are always filthy. All right, so we're going to anneal this now, and we'll finish out turning it into a square shape. All right, so we're going to anneal that now. If you're familiar with gold at all, the annealing silver is going to be something you're going to have to get acquainted to. Gold is far less temperamental. It conducts heat at far less a rate, nowhere near as quickly as silver. So basically, when it comes to gold, you have such malleability that you can literally forego annealing a large extent of the time without consequence. You're gonna get gold to the point where it's past the area where you would like to think it's safe to work, and it can still go because it's just so malleable, especially an 18 karat or a 22 karat alloy. That being said, when it comes to silver, you have a highly conductive metal. It has a low melting temperature, loves to melt quickly, loves to alloy with other metals around it. It heats so fast that it actually induces other metals to. I'm just basing this off my Mokume experience. Silver likes to melt. It likes to run. It likes to bond other alloys. Period. The end. So that being said, it's also a weird metal in the fact that silver is red short, which means you really can't work it when it's hot. Its molecules are basically just clinging together when they get really, really excited and heat it up. So if you take a red hot piece of silver and you hit it with a hammer the way you could with a piece of iron or even a piece of copper or bronze, that silver is going to splatter. Its molecules are going to literally come apart. If you take a really, really red hot piece of silver that you're soldering and you drop it out of the hot tweezers and it falls far enough, it will probably break and shatter. Not like the bond will come open. The piece will shatter like a jigsaw puzzle that hit the floor. And it's because its molecules are simply trying to get away from each other when they're that hot. And all it takes is the slightest tap and they'll do it. So in order to get this piece to where we really can work it easily, I mean, if we just get it to a red color and let it air cool, it'll be soft enough to work. However, that's like what most jewelers would want for their final jewelry. because it's soft enough to work, but it's not so soft that if you set a stone in it or anything, it'll come out, it'll move, it'll dent. If the person drops it, the owner drops it, it won't bend. So that is basic. I would call that a halfway, whatever it's known as. The full soft aspect, like as soft as it can be, the metal is called dead soft. To work silver with a hammer the way I'm working this, I'm going to turn that into a square sheet or a rectangular sheet, if anything. When working silver like that, you need it dead soft. So the way to get silver dead soft is to heat it to a cherry red, keep it there for 20 to 25 seconds, and then quench immediately. If you let it air cool to the point where it gets black and the glow comes off of it, which is what a lot of people do. And the reason they do that is because then the piece will be, once again, semi tempered, and it won't be as soft as it can be, and it'll be hard enough to be turned into jewelry. Whereas if you make something dead soft, it is going to require a lot of working before it's capable of being considered finished. That because it's just going to be in a really soft state the entire time. So if I make a piece of silver, a band, let's say, dead soft, and a person is wearing it, if they bang their finger hard enough, it will bend around their ring, around their finger, and it'll be stuck on. If they drop it, it'll bend. It's that soft. You can literally tie it in a knot. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make this. We're going to bring it to that level, but with all the hammering and with all the hammering and milling that it's going to go through, it will quickly return back to the state where it's capable of being worked and used. So once again, we're going to turn off the light. Temperature is extremely important. We're going to be able to. The goal is to get. All right. Okay, so we're going for even heating, 25 seconds, and a quick quench. As you can see, I got my bucket right here. We're just literally going to tip that right into the bucket when we're done. So, let's begin. And that's better. Actually, with a piece of silver this size, I could go full blast, but I want you to be able to hear and see what I'm doing. Try to keep the flame back when you're annealing. You're going for a bushy flame. You want the entire piece of silver to heat up at the same time and to heat up evenly. You don't want spots. Alright. That's the color we like. So, 25 seconds. And then we quench. Okay. Lights. All right. Now, we have that done. Next, we're just going to hammer out the edges and turn this thing into a square shape. So, refining on the anvil coming up next. All right. So, first thing, these are not tongs, proper tongs, but I'm going to be using these. These are great. This was a great idea. Okay, so just ground down the jaws on those. So now I have basically flat, smooth, locking parallel pliers. They're a lot of fun. So as you can tell, it can't be too tight because it can snap if you hit it with the hammer. So this is just capable of being firm enough that I can hold it in place, but I can still. It's got enough give that it won't snap on me. So let's begin forging that. Now, if I'm doing anything wrong, feel free to let me know. I don't have any training in blacksmithing. I am not a blacksmith. I don't have any training in hand forging. I'm doing, aside from the torch work. I was taught how to use the torch. I'm pretty good at that. But everything else, I'm learning on the fly. My methods seem to work. So I'm sure they can be refined and improved, but I figured I'd let you see what I'm doing anyway because I'm getting good results. That being said, don't have any training in this. This is not my specialty. I am essentially a guy who was trained to cast jewelry and repair it. But I've taken it a step beyond that. So I've heard blacksmiths use a term called disrupting the bulge, which is essentially, I understand it, is we're going to attack the thickest part to achieve the shape we want. So we want this thing to be flat and square. We're going to push in from there, get the borders, keep working it, turning it, working it, turning it, working it, until we get what we want. So let's give it a go. I think I'm just going to use the cross peen just to disrupt the bulge and get a nice little gap going, and we'll work it out from there. Well, first, actually, I want to get it flat, so. catastrophe. My life. All right, time to anneal.